We are back on MorningLine. Councilman Bob Mendes is with us this morning here in Metro talking about the issues you see on the screen. You can join in the conversation. Lee waited through the break. Let's take his call.
Right.
Lee, good morning. What's on your mind, Lee?
I tell you what, looking at the whole situation in Nashville, we have a financial problem. We have a transit problem. Okay? They built Adelphia Stadium. It's supposed to be multi-use football and soccer. If you look at everything that goes on downtown, the Predators, the draft, and everything, let them play the soccer, LP Field now. Why not put the stadium downtown, down there towards Tanner and Lift, and let them use the bridge and let the business in downtown draw the money? Because the Fairgrounds is almost impossible to get to because of the railroad track. And it's going to be hard to park cars out there.
Yeah.
Just what I was thinking.
I'm with you. Look, I could have thought of a lot of better locations for both NASCAR. Well, NASCAR because the Speedway's there. I understand that. For the soccer stadium. And we've been talking for years about the scrapyard across the,
right.
And Steiner Lifts has been there and they've been, locked into that. I think a lot of people would like to see if they could find an alternative place for them. That would be a great spot for some type of stadium, wouldn't it?
Well, it would be a great spot for a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
because it's right across from downtown.
Next to the stadium. And,
I think the exact vision is unknown, but I think everybody would like to see some combination of work, live, play, an extension of downtown. So downtown wouldn't just be on one side of the river.
If the stadium eventually is going to be built over there at the Fairgrounds for soccer, but let's say it takes a while and the plan is to play over at the football stadium this year and then hopefully be in the new place next year. If that doesn't happen in time for next year, I mean, is the deal in place where soccer will play in the football stadium for 2 years or more?
Yeah, I think it's through the 22 season.
Okay.
It's either the 21 or 22 season where they're supposed to play at the football stadium. I understood that before the last election, construction would be starting somewhere around now. It would take a couple of years, and so in 2022, 2023, the soccer stadium would be ready to go.
And the MLS just wanted a dedicated stadium, correct? I mean, he's right. You could play soccer in the football stadium. That just was never really an option in terms, if you wanted to attract MLS, and we were a long shot and we got the team, which surprised a lot of people, it wouldn't have happened had we said, we got all this to offer, but you're going to play where the Titans play. They probably would have said no. Yeah,
I've heard their rule is that they don't allow anything other than a soccer-specific stadium unless there's common ownership between a football team and a soccer team. So like Atlanta has the same ownership between the football and the soccer team, and so the Falcons and whoever the Atlanta team is play in the same stadium in Atlanta. But they've got common ownership.
Interesting. Okay, let's go to Maynard. Maynard, good morning. Hi, Maynard. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I live in Wilson County.
Okay.
And, of course, we have the old National Super Speedway, which is out there.
Yeah.
And it's not being used. It looks to me like if you want to bring NASCAR to the national area, that would be a perfect location for it. I mean, if you put it down at the Fairgrounds, NASCAR are going to require them to tear all that down and start without anything. Just seems to me like good solution for everybody be put it in Wilson County.
There are powers and dark forces at work there that are beyond our realm of understanding. I used to live not far, frankly, just a few exits down from that super speedway he's talking about, and he's right. There were some bush races back in the day, and it's far bigger than what you have at the speedway here now, and it looks like it was made to order. I don't really know the answer. That is like a big white elephant out there just sitting there doing nothing, and what really happened, and then why is NASCAR not even considering that?
Well, so if you read, it's common knowledge that NASCAR has been on a decline in terms of their performance over the last 10 years. I've read that there's a theory that I think NASCAR holds that when they started blowing up 10 or 15 years ago, in order to get more money, they were moving to bigger, newer racetracks like the one that we have sitting out in Wilson County. and then they started on a decline. I think I don't think NASCAR has any interest whatsoever in going to a large speedway that looks like every other speedway in suburban Nashville. I think the interest is, and I also understand they're coming toward the end of some long-term big racetrack deals, and so going to a short track, their theory is a short track in a big city would be a unique draw on their circuit.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. It was interesting, the whole story of NASCAR going back, and I don't know it all, but I know in the days way back, right? I think there was something where NASCAR could, and I always wondered, why the heck was NASCAR never here in the beginning? And there was something that didn't work out, and they were turned off by it. I mean, why would you go to Bristol instead of Nashville back when things really started, and there was bad blood, I guess. And after then, they never considered again. Well, now NASCAR is taking it on the chin, because it's dying. I'm sorry, it may bounce back, but it's not what it was. Not even close.
No.
Now they're looking and need us. And I'm, like I said, I wonder if some of our viewers will call in and let us know if you had an option. I mean, if given druthers, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of either one of these sports, but I know a lot of people are. But if I had my druthers, soccer goes before Nashville in this town.
Well, for me, just on the racing question, I mean, like there's a place for the super speedways, but if I'm ever tuning into a NASCAR race, I'm more interested in the short track races
me too.
where the cars are bouncing off each other more.
Yeah, it'd be more fun to watch. I mean, that for someone who's not a big race fan, I think I'd enjoy watching that more. Okay, so I guess that answers it. It sits out there, and times have changed. And I've been out. Have you ever been out there and been in that? It's huge. And it's just kind of, I don't know what it's used for now on occasion, testing cars, things like that.
I don't know.
When you talked about the mayor and the idea this is not when you get a new mayor a reset, I've heard some, and I don't know if you've picked up on this at all, that other business or whatever is looking at what's happened right now with this soccer. Do you believe there could be a ripple effect where they're like, wait a second, look what they're doing with what should have been a deal with soccer, and it's kind of like, in the minds of some, they're reneging on a deal. Could that give some hesitancy to others who want to come here?
Yeah, I think hesitancy is the right word. I'm not saying stop, fully turn off the spigot, but the reality is that any project that is sufficiently big, 100 million, the hotels that are going in downtown, Nashville Yards, anything that is sufficiently big, it's never local money that's investing. It's always out-of-town money. Every project, I think, above $100 million is out-of-town money. These people can invest wherever they want. And so Nashville is a great place to invest, but if you're balancing all the different factors, the idea that it may be difficult to deal with the city government has to be a factor that you have to understand before you follow through on the investment.
On that same line of thought, do you think they take a look at what we pay our city employees and whether or not that affects services when they consider coming here, which is the other topic we were discussing this morning? Does that even play into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Nashville, I know it doesn't feel that way to people on a fixed income, but nationally, we're considered a low tax environment. Both the no income tax, if you're an executive team, the no income tax is attractive, and our property taxes just aren't that high compared to lots of large cities around the country. Again, I'm not diminishing what it means to people in town who are used to paying a certain amount on a certain income. But if we're talking about attracting business from outside of town, our low tax environment is attractive.
Now, I've talked to friends of mine who are in governments in cities across the state, and they acknowledge when they realize they have to go up against Tennessee on some incentive program for a company, they're going to get their butts kicked. And that's for better or for worse, Flex. Because I think there are cases where we've given away far too much for what we got. But Tennessee is still very business friendly.
Well, and like, for example, I think on short-term rentals, if you're a national group looking to invest in short-term rentals, very low property tax rate compared to other cities makes a difference on where you invest. And that, I would argue accelerates gentrification to some degree, and so it does impact the broader economy.
I agree. No question, in my opinion. Let's go to Jacqueline. Jacqueline, good morning. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hello.
Hey, what do you think?
Oh, I just would like to comment as compared, Orlando, Florida is maybe a little bit bigger than Nashville, but, you know, soccer versus NASCAR, about, let's say 13 years ago, there was this program on, and there was a young man, he worked in fast food, and he was a big fan of NASCAR, and the waitress, the other co-worker, you know, making about $7.50 an hour, she asked him why was he a big fan of NASCAR. All the cars do is go around and around. You know what that young man said? Sometimes they crash. Dale Earnhardt Jr., you know? You all have a good day.
I don't know why it is the crashes. I think the cars are safer than ever before now.
Sure, definitely.
That's it. Shab, Orlando's, I think, bigger than us. Now, Orlando, of course, you know, it's all about Disneyland, or Disney World, rather.
Right. Anything on economic development, it's hard to call it a peer city because they've got the one giant attraction.
The peer cities, I guess, as you looked at again, you mentioned, and these all make sense to me. Austin, Charlotte, I guess Denver, peer city?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay,
Indianapolis makes the list a lot of times.
Okay, similar. Yeah, those seem to be peer city, meaning cities that are similar in size, demographic as well.
Well, that's where you can get a little. It's not always apples to apples.
Right.
Like, for example, our police department covers the whole county. And so when you're looking for a peer city on police, you're usually looking for a department that's the same size city and covers as big a geographic area.
Yeah, that is unique about Nashville, how that works. All right, let's go to Dorothy. Dorothy, good morning. What's on your mind, Dorothy?
What's on my mind is why our taxes, when they built the stadium, my taxes were like $399. Now they're over $2,000. It was the water bill went up to help pay for the stadium, and now the taxes are going higher and higher and higher.
You're talking about the football stadium?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I am. How come these places are building are supposed to help pay for themselves, and the taxpayers are paying for it? So what's going on?
Okay. How do you want to address that? I mean, what you described there, I do remember there was something with the water bill originally when that got built. But I mean, we had personal seat licenses that helped build the stadium. And so I don't know if it's fair to attribute some of her increases exclusively to what happened with the football team. What do you think? I mean, but some people perceive it that way.
I mean, I moved to town in '95. The first election I voted in was the referendum on the football stadium.
So I remember it well.
We're talking about a quarter century ago. I would expect just off of inflation, the tax bill to have doubled, tripled during that time. So that covers a lot of what she's talking about. Yeah. But there are also lessons learned from the football stadium, in that this soccer stadium financing is substantially better for Nashville than the football stadium. The football stadium was paid out of general obligation bonds. That's coming out of the savings account for the city. The soccer stadium is revenue bonds, which means it's got to live off the revenue from ticket sales and sales tax from the footprint of the stadium area. That's not coming out of the city's savings account. One of the great things that the mayor has negotiated in the last couple months, if he can just get to yes, is taking off the table how the city was going to guarantee a portion of the bond payments for the soccer stadium, and now it's going to be all from the revenue of the soccer stadium, and if there's a shortfall, the team pays for it. That's radically better than the football stadium financing.
I think that's something that, because the NFL, the league wouldn't have agreed to that, or the team would say, oh, we'll just go somewhere else. In soccer, maybe it's not. Soccer's popular, but it's not football, that's for sure. Maybe that's why. But you're right, it's a great deal.
There is a different environment about these things. Nashville's at a different place.
That too, of course. You're right, that was a long time ago.
The reinvention of downtown, then was a vision. It was an idea, it was a hope. Now it's done, and we're in a better position to negotiate stadium deals now.
I should know this, I guess. How many seats in the soccer stadium are they saying?
30,000-ish.
30,000-ish, and I really don't think they're going to have a problem. This is not one of those where I'm like, Jesus. I think they're going to have no problem filling it, especially with the popularity. There are a lot of soccer fans of various ethnicities here who also maybe didn't have much interest in football or baseball, but soccer is going to be the draw for them, and I think it's going to sell big time. Well, I know many people very excited.
Yeah, I think they're going to sell out 30,000 seats.
Do you believe NASCAR, how big would their facility be if they put it in small tracks?
Part of the mind-numbing part of this NASCAR conversation is there's no plan, there's no outline of a plan, there's no framework of an outline of a plan. So like, that's unanswerable because there's nothing remotely close to on the table.
Yeah, we don't know. Well, wait and see, right? Surprise. Listen, we'll take a break. We'll come back, our final segment. Any more questions or comments, love to hear from you. If you're on hold, stay there. We'll get to you when we come back right after this.